Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Tom with Capo Fetish. Let's do a little Byrds ranking today. So, when it comes to the Byrds, the Byrds have pretty much been in my DNA since day one. I remember hearing the Mr. Tambourine Man single with the flip side, I Knew I'd Want You, from a very early age. I mean, we're talking like diaper age. And then we also had the Turn, Turn, Turn album, too, as well, playing throughout the house back in the day. So, they pretty much, I would have to say they're one of my absolute top favorite bands. I think they're one of the most influential bands. Their stamp is on thousands of different acts out there, from REM to Tom Petty. You know it. Anybody with a jangly guitar, it all came from the Byrds, pretty much. So I'm going to count down pretty much their 12 albums, including their 73 reunion album. And we're going to get down to number one, my favorite. So let's count it off here. Number 12 is 1971's Maniacs. Kind of an uneven album. I don't know what it is. The songwriting is kind of subpar. There are a couple of great songs on here, though. Pale Blue, which is on side 1, tracks 2. And Kathleen's Song is a great Roger McGuinn song. But the rest of the album is kind of unforgettable. They do end the album with a version of Jackson Browne's Jamaica Say You Will, but not enough to redeem the record. It's not horrible, but it's not great. So this is coming in at number 12, Maniacs from 71. Coming in at number 11 is the 73 reunion album. Somehow after the success of Crosby, Stills and Nash, David Crosby left and got the guys back together, the original incarnation. The weird thing about this album, though, it sounds like 4 different guys from 4 different solo acts putting an album together called The Byrds. It's like it's the Byrds in name only. But there are some great songs on here. We have a couple of great Gene Clark songs. He does Full Circle and Changing Heart. We also have a great Chris Hillman song called Things Will Be Better on side 2. I think the best track on here, though, is their version of Cowgirl in the Sand by Neil Young. That's really great. Great harmonies. But there's just not even any resemblance of jangly guitar on here. Maybe a tiny bit now and then. It slips through the cracks. But yeah, I don't know. It's not much of a reunion record. It's more of like a solo effort. It's almost like they, all 4 members there, excluding Michael Clark, recorded some solo tracks and just threw them on a Byrds record, So it really is quite underwhelming for a Byrds reunion album. But there are some decent tunes. And they even do a version of See the Sky About to Rain by Neil Young, which was featured on the On the Beach record. But this is coming in at number 11, Byrds, self-titled from 73. And then number 10, we have the last Byrds album before the reunion called Farther Along. This has a couple of really good tunes on it. I really like this tune called Precious Kate on side 2, track 3. That's a really good tune. Very hook-filled, great melody. There's a great rocker, Tiffany Queen. It opens the side 1. What else do we have here? Farther Along's a great tune. America's Great National Pastime is really hokey. It's just really ridiculous. But, I'd say half of it's listenable. The other half is pretty forgettable. But I think that song Precious Kate is really, really good. That's a really strong song. And then there's another one, too, right before that, Antique Sandy. Both songs sung by Roger McGuinn. Pretty good stuff. Not bad for a last album. This is from 71. It's called Farther Along, the last Byrds album before the reunion. Coming in at number 11. Actually, coming in at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is the Dr. Birds and Mr. Hyde album from 1969. This is, after Sweetheart of the Rodeo, they kind of ditched the full-on country, went a little more psych again. And there are country tinges. There's a phenomenal version of This Wheel's on Fire. I think it's one of the best versions I've ever heard that they do on side 1, track 1. Old Blue is kind of a cool little tune about a dog. And let's see, Child of the Universe is great. Nashville West shows off Clarence White's guitar chops. And Drugstore Truck Driving Man's pretty good. And then I kind of like the song Candy from the cult film from 68 called Candy. That's a really cool kind of pop song. All in all, pretty good tune and a pretty good album. Not one of their best, but we will get to the greats in just a few moments. So this is coming in at number 9, Dr. Birds and Mr. Hyde from 1969. Coming in at number 8 is the double album Untitled from 1970. We have one album that's fully live. The other is all studio tracks. The live album is pretty interesting. There's a full side of 8 Miles High, which again shows off Clarence White's just amazing guitar playing. And yeah, there's songs like Mr. Tambourine Man, Mr. Spaceman. It starts off with Lover of the Bayou, which is a great track off the live portion of the album. And then it has some really sweet songs like Just a Season on the studio portion. And of course, Chestnut Mare. Chestnut Mare is just a really great latter day Byrds classic sung by Roger McGuinn. Hook-filled, great lyrics. Yeah, I mean, it's just a pretty solid record. One of their better latter day records. The live stuff is great. They really were a great live act in their second act after the post-Crosby era. So good stuff here. Untitled, 1970, the Byrds. Coming in at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is Easy Rider, the Ballad of Easy Rider from 69. This has a plethora of really great songs. Jesus is Just All Right, later covered by the Doobie Brothers. Oil in My Lamp is a great one. And then, of course, the title track, the Ballad of Easy Rider, also featured in the film. There's some also great songs. Let's see here. I got to put on my glasses real quick. Uno momento. Let's see here. Okay. Gunga Din is great. Deportee. They do a really good version of It's All Over Now, Baby Blue by Dylan. Jack Tar the Sailor is kind of a folky tune, ending side one. This is really strong album here. The Byrds, Ballad of Easy Rider, coming in at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is country rock classic, Sweetheart of the Rodeo. This is kind of divides fans of the Byrds. I love this album. And I think I love it so much is because of the songs. The songs they chose on this record are phenomenal. You have a couple of Dylan songs bookending the album. You got You Ain't Going Nowhere, just a great Dylan cover. The side 2 ends with Nothing Was Delivered, another great Dylan cover. You got Graham Parsons on this album, his only album he was on as a Byrds member. We've got his classic Hickory Wind, beautiful song. I think the whole album is just a 5-star classic. I'm a Pilgrim, The Christian Life, You Don't Miss Your Water, You're Still in My Mind, Pretty Boy Floyd, 100 Years From Now, Canadian, the Canadian Rockies, Life in Prison. I mean, every tune is great. I mean, if you can handle just the full-on country assault, it's for you. I think, it took me a while to get into it, but I've listened to it a lot, and a lot of the songs are just great sing-alongs, just great sing-along tunes, phenomenal playing by all the members, great steel guitar playing. Yeah, great album. This is coming in at number 6 for me, The Byrds, Sweetheart of the Rodeo from 1968. Kind of a milestone. I mean, some people say this is kind of the start of country rock, but then you have the International Submarine Band. That was before this, and then you have Poco around this time releasing Picking Up the Pieces, and then the Flying Burrito Brothers, Gilded the Palace of Sin. So all those records, including this one, are kind of seminal in the creation of country rock, but this is a standout. So this is coming in at number 6, Sweetheart of the Rodeo. Now we're getting down to the top 5, which are some of the greatest albums ever released, in my opinion, in rock, the rock era. So let's do it here. Number 5 is the Turn record. A phenomenal follow-up to their debut, Mr. Tambourine Man. This is just chock full of great tunes. Of course, the title track, Turn. Some amazing Gene Clark songs on here. It Won't Be Wrong, so good. Set You Free This Time, another great Gene Clark. The World Turns All Around Her, starting side 2, is phenomenal. I think they do one of the greatest versions of Satisfied Mind. Oh, the harmonies. The harmonies on that song are just incredible. And then they do The Times They Are Changin', Dylan cover, great song. They end the album with Oh, Susanna. I love the Dylan cover, Lay Down Your Weary Tune. Again, just an absolute harmony, epic song. And then He Was a Friend of Mine, a song they played at Monterey Pop before Crosby went on his tirade about the JFK assassination. But yeah, it's just a solid record, a near 5-star record in my opinion. A must for any collection. This is coming in at number 5, Turn, Turn, Turn. Coming in at number 4 is a phenomenal, almost like beginning of psychedelic era record, Fifth Dimension. Side 1 is phenomenal, and it's perfect. You've got 5D, incredible song, Wild Mountain Time, Mr. Spaceman, I See You, What's Happening, and I Come and Stand at Every Door, a real harrowing tune about the Hiroshima attack. Now, side 2 starts off really, really strong with 8 Miles High, one of the greatest psychedelic songs, and one of the greatest songs ever, in my opinion. But then you have Hey Joe and Captain Soul, which brings me to the fact, on the reissue in 1997 of the CD of this album, there's some bonus tracks. One called I Know My Rider, and another one called Psychodrama City. Now, I think those tracks were recorded after Fifth Dimension was released, but if I Know Your Rider and Psychodrama City were featured instead of Hey Joe and Captain Soul, this album would be an absolute 5-star masterpiece. It's too bad that those 2 songs were not featured on the original cut, because that Psychodrama City is just an incredible David Crosby tune. Really great kind of jazzy chord changes. I Know My Rider too, it just rocks. But if those 2 songs were on the original release, it would just be a phenomenal record. I mean, it's still a great album, but I think Hey Joe, Captain Soul kind of brings side 2 down a little bit. And then you've got John Riley, which is awesome. And then it ends with 242 Foxtrot, the Learjet song. It's a great, great record. And just really timeless as well. So this is coming in at number 4 for me. Fifth Dimension by the Byrds. Coming in at number 3 is an almost near classic too, Younger Than Yesterday. A perfect album, except I never cared for Mind Gardens by David Crosby. And 2, like the CD version from 1997, the bonus cut, there's a great Crosby song on here called It Happens Each Day. They had thrown that on there instead of Mind Gardens. For me, this would be probably close to my favorite Byrds album. But, you know, regardless, it's just chock full of great songs. So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star, Have You Seen Her Face? CTA 102, Renaissance Fair, amazing song. Time Between, and I think one of David Crosby's greatest Byrds songs, Everybody's Been Burned. Great lyrics. Anybody who can relate to these lyrics are just, you know, timeless, right? About the human condition. And then side 2, you got Thoughts and Words, great Chris Hillman song. You've got elements of country creeping in at this point on Younger Than Yesterday with also the psychedelic stuff. My Back Pages, a phenomenal Dylan cover and a hit. And then you got Girl With No Name, another great Chris Hillman song. And I think Clarence White guest stars on this album, I think on that particular tune, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then it ends with the flip side of 8 Miles High, Why, which really wasn't the original version. But just an absolute classic album. Younger Than Yesterday, the Byrds, chock full of some of their greatest songs in my opinion. So coming in at number 3 for me. Coming in at number 2, in my opinion, is one of the greatest debut albums of all time. There is just not one single moment on this album that is bad. It's all just uplifting, wonderful record. Of course, it starts off with the title track that kicked off a revolution, Mr. Tambourine Man. I Feel a Whole Lot Better, great Gene Clark song. He's all over this album, just cranking out great songs. Spanish Harlem Incident, another great Dylan cover. You Won't Have to Cry is so great. And Here Without You, another great Gene Clark song. The Bells of Rimini ends side 1 with those amazing harmonies, that chimey guitar. I guess it's purported that George Harrison took a little bit of that guitar lick and used it on If I Needed Someone off Rubber Soul. Then side 2 just continues the greatness with All I Really Want to Do, another great Dylan cover. I Knew I'd Want You, which was the flip side of Mr. Tambourine Man, another just stellar Gene Clark tune. It's No Use, Don't Doubt Yourself, Babe, Chimes of Freedom, another classic Dylan cover. Then it ends with We'll Meet Again. This is a 5-star masterpiece, in my opinion. One of the greatest debuts ever released. And just a really uplifting record, very life-affirming, in my opinion. The Byrds, Mr. Tambourine Man, coming in at number 2. And number one for me, probably my most played Byrds album, probably after Mr. Tambourine Man, is the notorious Byrds Brothers. This was recorded mainly in '67. It came out in early '68. This is probably one of the greatest, shortest albums of all time. I think it's just a little under 30 minutes. Starting off with Artificial Energy, going back, a Carole King song. I guess Crosby did not like covering that song. That was a kind of contentious spot with him. Natural Harmony, Draft Morning, an amazing Crosby song with those psychedelic tinges. And I think he left the band before it was finished, and he was angry that McGuinn and Hillman finished it off without his input. Wasn't Born to Follow, one of the greatest Byrds songs, featured in Easy Rider. And then Get to You, ending side one. Side two, one of the greatest sides of the 60s, Changes Now. An amazing psychedelic guitar solo by McGuinn. Old John Robertson, great country tinged number. And then you've got two just phenomenal Crosby tunes in a row. Tribal Gathering, the song kind of deals with the gathering of the tribes back in January 1967 in Golden Gate Park. Great harmonies throughout. And then Dolphin Smile, so gorgeous. And then it ends with the psychedelic Space Odyssey, a masterpiece album here. Notorious Byrds Brothers from 1968. And that's my ranking. And then, you know, if you want to just settle for one Byrds collection, this one came out in 2006. There is a season. There was a box set that came out around 1990. It was black, but these are all remastered and really covers the absolute highlights of all 12 of their albums. And then it comes with a DVD, which has, I think, about 10 TV performances of the era from like the 65, 66, 67 era. So this is really a must if you just want to settle for one Byrds purchase. There is a season, so there you have it, folks. Let me know what your favorite Byrds selections are. I know there's a lot of Byrds fans out there. Let me know. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.